Does a narcissist know that they're a narcissist? Does a narcissist know that what they're doing is hurting another person, that is harming another person? Does a narcissist actually see that? Do they actually understand? We're going to dive into some of the questions in this regard and some of the aspects that, for me, it's even been hard to answer this question or to be able to articulate it in a way because of how my mind thinks, of how I actually connect the dots with some of the stuff that we're actually going to talk about today. Okay, so stick around. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness about narcissistic abuse, to help people understand the toxic relationships they have been in and how it messes with your mind, how it makes you feel crazy, how it makes you feel insane of the things that have happened. So we try to help people in breaking the trauma bond, getting them away from the rumination, being able to help them move into a healthy space so they can continue to grow and maximize who they are. Besides just bringing awareness about narcissistic abuse, also try to help people heal, help them grow, help them change, help them develop into the person that they're called to be. You might be here today thinking like, hey, I don't even know who I am. I don't even know what direction I'm supposed to go. I used to know this, but I don't know now. It's exactly who we work with on a day-to-day basis to help you find your true purpose, your sense of direction, help you build boundaries and maximize you. If you want to talk to me one-on-one, you can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. Would love to help you out there. If you're like, I don't even know where to start, I don't even know what this is that I'm thinking about, feel free to check out our course, a $7 course called Escape Toxicity. Help people get free and understand the meaning of what is happening with narcissistic abuse and what's going on back and forth. Check it out. Either way. Okay. When we talk about this aspect of does a narcissist know, or a lot of times people ask, do they know what they're doing? Do they know what they're doing is hurtful? Now, this question has always been frustrating to me in some senses because the quick answer is yes, they know. The other side is I always felt like when people were asking this question that they were asking the wrong question, or they were viewing it in a different light than what is actually real and what is actually true in the moment. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of times people are talking about, do they actually know, to be able to justify either staying or to be able to justify like, oh, maybe I need to help them more. Maybe I need to work on them more. Maybe I need to try to fix them more. Did you run into that where you were trying to fix the narcissist, where you were trying to make them better in some regard? Because we see that happen a lot. We see a lot of people that want to fix them. They want to try to help them. They want to try to fix the things that you see in them. In the workshop that we had just a couple of days ago, someone was talking about like vulnerabilities, how they connected on like being very much the same. And I had to kind of like paint a picture of them understanding that a lot of times the reason why a narcissist has the same vulnerabilities as you, a lot of times they're fake, but a lot of times the same vulnerabilities as you, because then you look at them and you're like, that's the exact same thing that I'm missing in my life. Because I'm missing it in my life, I know exactly how I'd want someone to fill it for me. So then they start filling the narcissist void in whatever regard, or whatever vulnerability state, or whatever it might be. And they're constantly looking at getting that person fixed, getting that person help in that regard. But the problem is that other person actually doesn't want the help. They're just taking that to build a connection, to build a bond with another person. So there's a piece of it that people want to know if the narcissist knows, so they know if it is really abusive. So they know, is this actually intentional? Like, is this person actually meaning to hurt me, or what does that play out and look like? Well, part of my confusion and frustration is going back to the actual question. Like going back to like what it actually looks like, what it actually is. Because people ask, do they actually know? And there's a piece that I need you to understand from my mindset, from a narcissistic mindset. One of the first things that comes across my mind is, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, the narcissist doesn't care. That's the hard thing for a lot of people to realize. It would be like, do I know that there's a painting behind me? I don't care. And so it doesn't even matter whether I know about it or not. I don't actually care. It doesn't change anything that I'm going to do because that painting's there. Whether the narcissist actually knows this is something that's abusive or this is something that's not, they don't care. That's one of the hardest things for people to be able to understand and kind of work through, knowing that they actually don't care about the situation that's going on. On a day-to-day basis, they don't care about you. They don't care about how they come across. They don't care about the things that are happening on a day-to-day basis in the relationship. The narcissist does not care. If you hear anything from this, understand the narcissist does not care. Okay, but what is happening is when you're looking for it to understand, do they actually know? You need to start taking a look at the facts about what is going on around the situation. You need to be able to understand, like, wait a second, like, he only acts this way towards me. Like, consistently, he only shows this type of behavior towards me. Doesn't show it to his parents, doesn't show it to his friends, doesn't show it to his coworkers, doesn't show it to a lot of different people. He only is showing this towards me. And we see this consistently over and over and over again, where we're looking at where the narcissist is only doing that towards you. That is one of the biggest pieces to be able to say, yes, they do know. Now, why? Because they're modifying and they're changing behaviors depending upon the people that they are around. A narcissist oftentimes knows and understands through societal norms and what's going on out and around them of what is actually happening. That they can't scream at you in public because that would look bad for themselves. And that they can't say certain things in front of certain people because then they would look like the bad person that's abusing you. Like, we see this happen over and over where narcissists will modify how they look to other people. Now, you might not have this. You might not have as much of this because you might be with an overt who doesn't care. Who's like, I'm going to do what I want to do no matter what. And if that means screaming in front of you and other people, it doesn't really matter. Okay. But you might be with a covert where at that point you're like, wait a second. Like, this does seem a little crazy. Like, this does seem like something that is happening over and over, and I don't really understand it. I don't really see where this is going, because what is happening is they're only doing it around you. They're not doing it in front of other people. And sometimes this will come out where the person, the narcissist in your life, like, he won't be loving, won't be affectionate. He won't really do anything positive or like show you affection. And then you're around other people and it seems like he can't keep his hands off you. Like, it seemed like, oh, we're so connected. We are so much in love, because he's painting a picture of that best version of you guys. Like, the version that he wants everybody else to see. The version that he wants everybody else to think that he's a good dad or a good partner. Like, whatever it might be. There's that piece. And we see this switch happen around other people. Now, you see this happen in a lot of different situations with a lot of different people. But with narcissists, you see this consistently where it is abusive behind the scenes, and then out in public, seems like everything's great. Seems like everything's connected. Seems like everything's loving. Seems like you're moving in the right direction. So you need to ask yourself the question today, like, why do I need to know if they know? Is it to justify the abuse? Like, to justify the behavior that's actually going on? Or is there another reason? Maybe you want to know if they know so you can fix them, so you can stay a little bit longer. At the end of the day, what is that person actually showing you consistently? How are they showing up in the relationship? How are they showing up in boundaries? How are they showing up in respecting the boundaries that you set on a day-to-day basis? How are they showing up in growing themselves? You see, a lot of times people want the diagnosis of, is my partner a narcissist, so they're justified to be able to leave. So they can get out of the relationship, so they don't have to worry about it being something on them. And they're like, if this person's a narcissist, then I can leave. If it's pronounced that there's no hope, then I can leave. Otherwise, there might be a piece that I can change this person. And again, we go back to the wrong thought process of thinking that we can change or modify another human being. And at the end of the day, that's not your job. And it's not your responsibility. And also, you can't. So many people think that they can do something to help another person change, to make another person change, to help them modify all these things. And at the end of the day, if that person doesn't want to change, nothing will change. Now, how do we actually know if they want to change? If they're actually putting in the work. Like, how does that make sense? They might want to do the work, but then they're not willing to do the work. Exactly. If you don't see honesty, vulnerability, and consistent change, you have found someone who is not willing to actually do the work required. You have found someone that you're going to be in, not a relationship, but a situationship. Stuck forever. Because that person is going to say certain things, is going to talk a certain game, but is not going to actually show up and do the work required on a day-to-day basis to develop themselves. You're like, why do you get so passionate about them doing the work? Because I have to do the work every single day if I'm going to continue down this path of not being an abusive asshole. Like, I have to do the work every single day to make sure that I show up in a way that is connected to the people around me. That is healthy in my mindset, in my actions, in my words. And if I don't do that, I go back to the same type of abusive behavior. And so you have to understand doing the work is required for someone to grow, for someone to change. They cannot change if there's not vulnerability. They cannot change long term if they're not changing for themselves. If they're changing for someone else, it will not work. It never does. You might have behavior modification for a month, 2 months, 6 months, but at the end of the day, the narcissist will get pissed off and he'll come back to you and say, I'm tired of doing life your way. And continue moving forward in what he wants to do. Know that you can't change a person. Know that you need to understand that a narcissist knows what he's doing. Depending on what level that is, it doesn't matter. What level of abuse are you willing to continue to put up with before you decide to get your healing? Before you start to move forward with your change, with your development, and who you are called to be. If you're like, I don't know about this guy. He's a narcissist and he's talking to survivors. What do we actually do? Well, go to escapetoxicity.com. escapetoxicity.com. You can click the link down below. Take our 7-day course for $7. Be able to check it out, see if this makes sense to you. Like if we break it down, you understand, you're like, this is actually what I'm going through. Perfect. Then it'd be a great time for you to start working with us to help you break free from the trauma bond, from the rumination, from the things that are tying you down. Love to have you a part of that. If you want to talk to me one-on-one, if you got specific questions, go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. We can talk then. Thanks so much.